Good morning. It's story time. Hey, this is Iadania. Thank you for coming to Nia's Divine Garden. This morning I realized that it's almost the solar return of my business, who I finally got a shirt for. So, and I am sometimes way harder on myself than I need to be. And this morning, I got a reminder that I'm doing things to move myself forward and I'm not giving myself credit for it. So, this video is to hopefully inspire somebody, um, or let's say empower somebody to take that inspired action and encourage somebody to keep going on their journey. Shouts out to the sun that just popped in. So, my mom texted me, called me this morning, told me there was a video she wanted me to watch. And the video was about a woman who took her stimulus money and flipped it into a 7-figure business. And she said she's not sending it to me to tell me what I should be doing. She was sending it to me, and I'm going to try really hard not to be emotional, to show me what I am doing. And what was really cool is one of the things the young lady said was that, she made a list of all her skills to see what would somebody be willing to pay me for. And, Nia's Divine Garden, hey God, didn't necessarily come up in that exact same way, but it did. It was 2020. I'm gonna go backwards. 2016 or 20 early 2017. I have my then about to, 2016. I found out I'm pregnant with my now 4-year-old. I found out Thanksgiving, right before his first birthday. And so early 2016, I realized where my son was babbling and everything, he stopped. And by the time his brother is born in July, by the end of that year, I learned that my son may be autistic and has developed a speech delay. Towards the end of my pregnancy, I got that information. Not only that, but also he has a sensory processing disorder. And so we can't go to places we used to go to prior to this condition showing up because he has a meltdown. I'm at my last prenatal appointment and he has a full-on meltdown. And my blood pressure was through the roof. I ended up in the hospital. It was just so much. But you asked me, I'm okay. Everything's fine. By 2019, the reality of I'm not fine was really starting to set in. The reality is, I am still grieving the loss of my firstborn child. I am deeply still going through the part of my postpartum depression that I did not acknowledge. I am still trying to pull all this together. So I'm dealing with that. My best friend is like, you need to go to therapy. I'm also dealing with the fact that my marriage is, it's like holding on by a thread. By 2020, my husband is like, I want a divorce. I don't want to be married to you anymore. And oh, by the way, you can't stay here and there's no car for you. It was like all of my worst fears were realized because I had been holding on, and the thing that I was most afraid of is he'd leave and I'd be single with children. Not only single with children, I have a child with special needs. Officially today, I have 2 children with special needs. What am I going to do? How am I going to do this? I can't do this by myself. And this universe had already been telling me. I had just started reading tarot cards, and every card kept coming up. You need to move. You need to move. And I'm just like, no. Everything. No, I'm not listening to the signs, and the signs were already there. So like, okay, cool. Now we have to have a whole tower moment because I'm telling you, it's time for you to go. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And so late 2020, I am now separated, 2 small children, and I'm living on my own. So I got a day job, I'm working, but I'm also, it's different. That's what I'll say. It's different. It's not the same. One of the blessings of 2020 though was being home and being able to work from home, because once we got the autism diagnosis, one of the things that I voiced a concern at with my then husband and even people that I knew at work was, how am I going to get my son to therapy and work? 2020, I was remote and have been able to then, and 2020 hit and they sent us home, and all his therapy that I had been on waiting list for all happened all at the same time. I got them all at the same time off everybody's waiting list when I was no longer in the office. That is not a coincidence. That is divine timing at its finest. So you fast forward and I'm like, Spirit is calling me. There's something you need to do. And I'm like, I don't know, Lord, that I can do this. Hold on, son's coming. 1 second. Sorry, my son just got in the car and he tied his shoes. So yeah. So I'm home and I get this message, like, the Goddess Gathering was, YouTube channel was first. And I'm like, oh no. You want people to see me? Like my face? And hear my voice? 2 things I was really self-conscious about. I don't have a good camera. I'm just like, all these reasons why not to do it. But I did it anyway. And if you ask me right now, like, what was the decision behind it? I was just like, I was newly in a place where I felt God's presence in a way that I had not before. When my spiritual awakening hit, every Claire gift outside of Taction showed up. Sentience was already there, but I didn't actually, sentience and clairvoyance were already there. I did not realize I had them though. I didn't realize what I was experiencing. That's what it was. So I was just like, it was every fiber of my being knew this was something I needed to do. And so it took a minute for me to say, I'm just going to go and do a full-on business. It really did. I had spent so much of my time saying, I'm going to be the CEO in corporate America, blah, 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 blah. And honestly, having kids, like, especially 2020, like, being able to be there with them even more and be able to take my son where he needs to be, and thinking about what that would look like if I was working for someone else. Like, it just put a lot of things into perspective. But I did. 2021, I went ahead and officially formed, got my LLC put in place. And I think 2021 is really when I first said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and offer readings. And it was probably funny, like, thinking about it now, why did I start there? And I think I needed to start with readings. I think I needed to start with readings. So I started with readings because I think I needed to prove to myself that I was good. Coaching is something that coaching for me is like teaching, and it's just something that it always came natural. I always helping somebody with their homework at school, and my day job. And what was one of the examples that the young lady who on the video I was watching, she was just like, what do you do at work now that you're really good at? And that is developing people. Like, I look at it and I'm just like, my very first mentee is a director. I look at everybody. Young lady that I mentored when I was working at the restaurant ended up with her own store. Like, I look at everybody, and when they come back and say, I still quote you in situations, that's how I know it's not just in that moment, it's a lasting thing. I'm good at leading events, and this feels weird to say, but I'm really good at presenting and speaking. And it feels weird to say, because it wigs me out even now to do it. But leading the women's organization, I step in front and there was nothing. There was no one who couldn't tell me I was about to y'all weren't about to have the absolute best experience. And I had a knack for seeing what we needed to do, like what message did we need to share, and the timing of that message being just right, and it being so impactful. And I knew it was impactful those days where we do a presentation and their room is full of tears, like everyone is having a full-on visceral reaction. And anyone who's had a reading, especially from me in person, knows I kind of just do that. It's not on purpose. I know that your soul is speaking when you get emotional. And so that really always means a lot to me. And Nia's Divine Garden is my way to pull all of these things together. And I could see myself wanting to quit. Like, why haven't I hit 7 figures? Why don't these people share my posts? Why these people don't want to come to my events? And I could see myself, I could see the ego in myself saying, you should quit, you should stop. It's too hard. I can't. Because I can see the house. I can see myself. And being single, having 2 children with special needs, working a day job, I'm not giving all of my power to. But yesterday I did a career coaching and it was the absolute most fun. Yesterday evening I got booked for a resume consultation. The other day I did a reading for somebody and I'm having so much fun. The money's gonna come. The clients, the money's gonna come. The right people who are meant to find me, they gonna find me. I'm not worried. My business is still a baby. Won't have solar return until next month, but I was inspired and reminded to keep going. Even yesterday in my divination, it literally says you are walking in your destiny. You are in complete alignment. What you're doing now is in alignment with your destiny. And that I can't put into words beyond Ashe. So when you're feeling like I'm not that millionaire yet, when you're feeling like I want to give up, and what's wild is, like, even with my own business, I said I'm still aligning with ease. I moved all my stuff off weekends. I offered readings or something on the weekend, because it don't feel like work to me when I'm doing readings. It's like I feel like I'm having that's a whole party for me. I love doing readings. I absolutely love doing readings because readings gives me an opportunity to bring everything together, and that's why all my services are practically spiritual, because I like the feeling of giving you practical advice with spiritual concepts and illuminating you in a way that is authentic to how I teach and how I move. But I was like, I'm not doing coachings on the weekend if I can help it. So as much as I could, I moved them to evenings during the week. And she talked about needing help. And I think that's one of those things where I struggle with, is opening my mouth and asking people who are willing to help me, to come sit with my sons and just run interference for an hour or two so I can do some readings in the evenings. I can give some coachings in the evenings and things like that. So don't give up. And it don't have to be perfect. I am in my car right now, sitting outside my son's office, for where he gets his speech and his occupational therapy. But the sun has the melanin popping, so I'm cool with how I look on camera. But I don't have a fancy setup. I don't have a fancy studio. I don't have a fancy office. But what I do have is a whole lot of ashe, a whole lot of skills, and a real strong connection to source that lets me know, if you trust me with your journey, I will light your way to your destiny. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you're inspired to keep going after your dreams, following your passion, and knowing that what you're building, even if you don't see that $1 million right now, that foundation that you end up standing on is going to be so strong. When the mill hits, it's going to multiply, it's going to stay, and leave a legacy for your family for generations to come. Take care. Bye.